Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok Chapter 47. Before I get into this month's review, I of course have to mention that this is my backup channel, as you may have noticed. I'm sure many of you have heard by now that I got a second copyright strike, that actually being on last month's Ragnarok review. So I'm going to be doing Record of Ragnarok reviews on this channel for the foreseeable future, at least the next 3 months. I'm also going to be moving Jujutsu Kaisen, probably Kengan Omega, and my Berserk arc reviews here. So you should subscribe to this channel, as this is where I'm going to be doing most of the main series for at least the next 3 months. We hit 100 subscribers in just like 9 hours yesterday, so I want to see how quickly we can get to 1,000, so you guys should subscribe to this channel. And we'll see how quickly we can get to 1,000. After that, you know the usual stuff. I have a Patreon if you want to get a shout out at the end of videos, or access to some reviews for Solo Leveling and the Boxer. You should go check that out. And I have a Discord server, so you should probably go join that. I have a link to it in the description. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. This month's chapter it's alright. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. It is mostly a backstory chapter, and in my opinion, those ones are either the best thing you've ever read, or they're just kind of there. And this is one of the ones that's just kind of there, but I do think there's a reason for that, at least the reason I'm not particularly interested in it. But anyway, this month's chapter starts off right after Buddha blocked Zerafuku's big attack with his divine shield, the Ahimsa. And this is where Brunhild explains Buddha's divine weapon, his staff of the 6 realms. This was something that was kind of talked about in the translator's notes in last month's chapter, but there are 6 worlds you can reincarnate into, or at least that's the explanation in universe here. And each of these realms is protected by a form or an aspect of the Bodhisattva canon. So we have the Divine Realm, the Asura Realm, the Preta Realm, I think that's what that says, the Infernal Realm, the Animal Realm, and the Human Realm. So each of these has their own named aspect of canon. You have Wish-Granting Wheel Cannon for the Divine Realm, the 11-Face Cannon for the Asura Realm, the 1,000-Arm Cannon for the Preta Realm, the Holy Cannon for the Infernal Realm, the Horse-Headed Cannon for the Animal Realm, and the Unshakable Cord Cannon for the Human Realm. So, each of these is going to end up looking like a different weapon. Each of them is probably going to have their own kind of unique power. It seems like with Ahimsa, it's a maybe not unbreakable shield, but a really powerful shield. And then the other weapon that his shield turns into, or his staff turns into, is this club, which is the horse-faced cannon Nirvana. It looks pretty cool, but an important caveat about this weapon is that it changes form based on Buddha's emotions. So when it turns into Nirvana, he says, "Oh, it's you, so I guess I have to get up close and personal." So the one potential flaw of this weapon is that it won't necessarily change into the weapon that Buddha needs at the moment. It will turn into whatever weapon his emotions call for. So there is likely going to be a situation where his emotions cause his staff to turn into a weapon that is not the best for the situation, and it's going to put him in a bad spot. I would put money on that right now. That seems to be a very important caveat to Buddha's ability here. And speaking of weapon transformations, we also see that Zerafuku can seemingly at will change the form of the Misery Cleaver. He turns it into like this knife covered in more swords or something. It's just a bunch of needles. He's trying to fucking crush Buddha again. But you know, Buddha just ducks under, hits him in the stomach, easy money. And this is where we start to get into Buddha's backstory, because Brunhild describes him as history's strongest adolescent, I don't think adolescent is the best word to describe it, but maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? Rebel, strongest, I'll think of a word at some point. But he's the strongest among people who do whatever the fuck they want. That's Buddha. So we get into Buddha's backstory, and it's pretty much kind of what I expected for this part of it. Buddha used to be a prince in, well, what at the time was part of India. He was named Gautama Siddhartha, and he pretty much had everything he could want in the world. He was at the top of the caste system. He had all of the best clothes, the best food, the best housing, the best education, and he could do pretty much whatever he wanted. And also, he was destined to rule over the world. So, Buddha, in his time as a prince, was pretty much on top of the world. He had whatever he wanted. However, he does go to visit this friend of his, and his friend is by the name of Jataka, and he is seemingly the king of this other kingdom, Mala. And Jataka has, some kind of anime illness that makes him cough up blood all the time, that. And him and Buddha seem to be on really good terms. They're very close friends. Buddha calls him his older brother. And they have a very interesting talk. Because Buddha talks about wanting to make everyone happy, that he's destined to do this when he becomes king. And when Jataka doesn't really say anything to this, he asks him if he's happy, because he has pretty much everything he could need. His kingdom is prosperous. The people there are happy. There's nothing better than this for royalty. But Jataka says, "You really think I'm happy? Nothing I've done in my life has been something I've chosen to do. Yeah, I mean, there weren't any big wars during my time as king, so fortunately, we were fairly prosperous. People would look at me and say I led a happy life. But was this my life? Did I choose to live this life, or was this the life given to me? Everything was handed to me. I was never able to find happiness for myself. I was never able to eat the same food that the peasants ate, even though I wanted to know what they tasted like. Despite the river running through my kingdom, I never learned where it flowed to. How far does the sky above me reach? I don't know any of this stuff. I never got to learn any of it. And I'm going to die of my illness sometime soon without finding out any of these things." And then he puts back up this facade of being like this very cool, relaxed guy, which seems to be something that Buddha got from him. And then shortly afterwards, he passes away. Now, while Buddha is on the way to his funeral, he has this moment of realization when one of the people walking there with him says that Jataka must have been happy. And he realizes that his entire life has been planned out for him. Everything that he's done, everything that he's had has been given to him and decided for him. He hasn't done anything for himself. He hasn't gone out and gotten anything for himself. So he's just like Jataka, and he may end up just like him if he stays on this path. And this is when he achieves enlightenment. Now, I don't know how I feel about, I just had a moment of realization and boom, I'm enlightened. It's that easy. I feel like we maybe should have gotten a little bit more of a journey for that. However, this is him achieving enlightenment, not him achieving godhood. I'll talk a bit about that later, because that is something that we've been wondering about pretty much ever since Buddha's been introduced, and since we learned that he used to be human. So anyway, he gets up off his horse, he laughs a bunch, and then says he's got it. He's achieved enlightenment. We get this really cool panel. It's the panel that you're seeing right now in this video. So he goes off to Jataka's funeral, throws a bunch of flowers around, and then just straight up picks up and takes Jataka's coffin. Or, not closed. Is this a coffin? Like his funeral bed. And when everyone tells him to stop, he's like, shut up, we're going. So he takes him to the river that he wanted to always know where it would flow, and he, floats him down it. So that's pretty nice. And after that, Buddha abandons everything and goes off on his journey to, I guess, find enlightenment. Well, he's already found enlightenment, but he just goes off on his own path. And we get a compilation of him going around helping people just because he feels like it. And doing whatever he wants, basically. Which is Buddha's whole thing. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I will protect innocent people. And if people want to try, they should take me themselves. They should fight me if they are going to try and decide someone else's fate for them, like they did for me. The end of the chapter is us going back to the fight between Buddha and Zarafuku, and Brunhild saying that this fight is the height of adolescence. Both Buddha and Zarafuku are basically kids that do whatever they want. Buddha is a big kid, and Zarafuku is a whiny little bitch kid. Well, I mean, I understand Zarafuku's reasoning for being so upset and so angry, but, I mean, come on. Like, we have it again. The end of the chapter again is Buddha being very confident, and Zarafuku just screaming his head off. So I guess that's another theme here in this fight. It's adolescence, I guess. Again, I'm not sure if that's exactly the best word to use to describe Buddha. He is a big kid, and he does whatever he wants. That's the best way to sum it up. So, yeah, the backstory is pretty alright. I think I liked it more upon rereading it again for this review. But nothing like super crazy. What I'm most interested in is seeing how Buddha, after attaining enlightenment, ascended to become a god. Because he is apparently an actual god. He's been around for like 2,000 years now. He is a deity. So, how did that happen? And what happened after he attained godhood? We already know that Buddha hates anyone who tries to decide other people's fates for them. His fate was apparently decided by the gods when he was born, so I imagine he did not particularly like the gods upon meeting them for the first time. So I'm more interested in seeing that. I don't know if we'll get that next chapter, but I imagine then we're going to get that at some point during this fight. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And we'll see what happens with this fight from here. So, if you enjoyed this review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. As usual, I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month, and if you're already a fan of my videos from my main channel, you should subscribe here in case anything happens to my main channel. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen, Kengan Omega, Black Clover, and Kaiju No. 8, I do videos in those series as well. As of right now, all of those are on my other channel, but I do plan on moving Kengan Omega and Jujutsu Kaisen over here at some point in the next few weeks. So just be expecting that. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, my other channel, this is weird, you should check out my Discord server. I have a link to it down in the description. Since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to some of my wonderful patrons, and the recipients of the shout out today are Jean Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, and Zach Rowitz. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at the end of videos or access to some extra content, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.